Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I would like to show you my setup that I created with the BeatStep Pro and the Elektron Digitone 2. It is pretty simple but pretty fun to jam with. Basically the BeatStep only functions as an extended control surface for the Digitone, and I would like to share the process and the advantages and disadvantages of working with a setup like this. So I'm using the MIDI output of the BeatStep Pro that goes into the MIDI in of the Digitone, but that alone doesn't really do the trick already. There are a few things that you need to set up in the MIDI control surface app that comes with the BeatStep, but this is super simple and I can also share the file if someone's interested. So in my case I assigned the drum sequencer to control the 9 to 16 track on the Elektron. I don't even have so many sounds on there already because 8 tracks is totally enough for me for drum sounds. So yeah, right now I'm on the drum sequence and I can play all the drum sounds as you would expect. And in order to make this work, you also have to set up the Elektron to receive MIDI information to the tracks that you assigned on the BeatStep. This is also super simple. You go to settings, go to MIDI configuration, channels, and then just set, for instance, track number 9 to receive MIDI from channel number 9. So in my case, this would be the kick drum. That is pretty much it for the whole setup. So this is like the basics. I mean, you could assign the knobs to do something, but I haven't done so much yet. Yeah, so now we have a new clean pattern and I can just start with, let's say, a kick on the floor. Maybe add a bit of a snare. That was so not tight that it kinda turned out cool now. I mean, it's not the greatest thing ever, but it is enough for the demonstration. And once I have a cool pattern, I can just record it straight into the Digitone. I just need to press record and play at the same time, so it records it. I will just do that now. And now I can play back here on the Elektron 2. Yeah, and that's pretty much the whole workflow of this setup. I mean, the cool thing now is that you can press play, let's say here, and use the performance features of the BeatStep to come up with different stuff. Or for example, let's just change the last step of the drum sequence. But this also leads me to a bit of a disadvantage of this setup, because the Digitone has a 128 step sequence, while the BeatStep Pro only has 64 steps, and that is a bit limiting. This is a bit shitty, but not that big of a deal, because you can just put the 64 step patterns of the BeatSteps on 2 separate patterns on the Digitone and then play them after each other, and when you record them into your computer it's not a problem anyway. And I already did this with a few patterns that are made here on the Digitone, for example this third one. And now I can also go to the fourth one when I'm done with this. I'll just switch a bit quicker. And the cool thing now is I can come up really quick with sequences here on the BeatStep Pro, and then when I go to the Elektron and do all the fun stuff, the parameter locking and whatever. So when I just play this pattern here, let's for example change the release time a bit. And once I'm happy with all of my sequences that I created here, that I can also store here by the way, I mean you can also switch to different patterns here that you stored. I can plug this thing into my computer and record all the stems via Overbridge. This is pretty practical. But still you might wonder, why would someone do this? Because all of this is also possible on the Elektron, and you are totally correct with this. But the addition of the BeatStep makes for a pretty cool team, because as I said, you have bigger pads to jam with that I already quite like. Just doing something like this with changing the last step already makes such a big difference, and you can record these performances into the Digitone and then into the computer. Another downside that comes to my mind is that the BeatStep doesn't really have a polyphonic sequencer track, and there are workarounds for that using the drum track, but I need that for my drums, But as you can see, I also have a KeyStep 37 here that I use for a band project, also controlling the Elektron Digitone. But the Elektron only has one MIDI in, so I would need a MIDI merger or something to use this for another synthesizer track on the Elektron. Maybe there are also workarounds. I would have to do some research on this. But for now, this is the setup that I'm working with. But this will be really cool, and I will probably do another video where I would also implement the KeyStep, because then I would pretty much have everything I need. So for now, I'll just record the chords on the Digitone itself. Like here on this pattern 3, I had some chords. So these chords I just recorded with the chord mode. If I go here and go to the keyboard setup page, I had some chords pre-assigned to the chord modes, and I just did it like that. It's a bit of a workaround, and it would be cooler to use the KeyStep, but for now I'll just do it like that. So my final thoughts on this setup. For me, this is really practical and it's just a lot of fun to use. I enjoy it much more than sitting in front of the computer. And as I said, I will probably expand this setup in the future, maybe assign a few knobs to effects on the Digitone or something like that. Let me know in the comments if this was useful. You can consider subscribing and liking. I also have cool music resources and also my original music in the description. Yeah, that's it.